How do you know you want to live like a nomad? You love to travel, and it seems like a dream. But then you hear about people taking the plunge and coming home after a couple months. As I set off on a journey to completely change my life, I wanted to test out the nomadic lifestyle while being intentional with my goals of embracing new cultures, keeping up with my routines, learning something new, and leaving room for adventure. This past year, I had a business trip to the Philippines, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to test out the nomadic lifestyle. So I'm in Makati right now. I'm staying at the Peninsula, which is one of the nicest hotels in the Metro Manila area. I'm lucky enough to have a client that trusts me enough to fly me out for their offsite all the way in the Philippines. And I figured that this would be an awesome opportunity for me to actually try out the digital nomad life in the sense where I want to try to balance out my life goals and still letting myself travel and adventure and live the life that I've always dreamed of. My first stop, Manila, a comfortable start. I was based here, a hotel known for its world elegance and legendary hospitality.
And this is what staying in a 5-star hotel is like. Got some mood lighting. There's TV and video. I don't know what that means. Got my own tub. Nice big bed. And Makati.
This hotel was gorgeous, with marble stairs that led up to views of a beautiful lounge that really felt like a dream. It had plenty of seating, solid Wi-Fi, and the kind of peaceful atmosphere that made working easy.
Family workout complete.
Being here made keeping up with my routines a breeze. I'd start each day with a workout, and then I'd head off to the breakfast buffet. It literally had anything and everything you could dream of. It was amazing. After that, I'd settle into the lobby, and then I'd work a little bit more before heading off to the team meetings. Because this was specifically a work trip, there wasn't much time for me to go and adventure, but I made space for a few memorable moments, like eating at Shang Palace, one of the best Cantonese restaurants in the city. Think a beautiful gold interior and dim sum that melts in your mouth, a full-on treat after a long day of meetings. Another night, we checked out the Fun Roof, a rooftop arcade bar packed with neon lights, games, and some of the coolest cocktails I've ever had. I ordered their tipsy ube, and it literally came out smoking. Then I went for a game of putt-putt with a view of the skyline. Random, chaotic, and super fun. To reset a bit, I spent a day at Lujetta's Hanging Garden Spas. This place is tucked away in the hills outside of Manila, and it feels like a total secret. Hanging umbrellas, gardens everywhere, infinity pools, and a view that just drops off into the forest. These little moments help me breathe in between meetings, but after a week of work and socializing, I was definitely craving something different. Day 4 of staying at the Peninsula in Manila, and I'd say it's been pretty amazing. They've got really great facilities, got an amazing gym that I've been hitting every day, a beautiful pool, just a really beautiful hotel. Business activities are a little exhausting. It's fun being social with everybody, but I need my introvert time. I am excited to take a break on Siquijor next week and just hermit and be in nature. But before disappearing into nature, I wanted to reflect on how nomading went in Manila. The good. Being in a major city made it easy to get online and into a workflow. And staying at a nice hotel helped me keep up routines and stay productive. But it's not really realistic for longer-term living. The gaps? There's no cultural immersion. As with coworkers, not locals, I didn't get to explore the way I usually do when I travel solo. And there was no time for adventure. It kind of felt like my old life, just in a prettier setting, which means little room for growth. While staying at the Peninsula was a lovely oasis for a work trip, I was ready to switch it up. So I hopped on a plane, jumped in a taxi, bought a 15 peso ticket, waited in a ferry terminal for what felt like a year, boarded this rocky boat, jumped off at the port, and squeezed into a tuk-tuk, one of those cute little tricycle motorbikes. all to get here. An island known for its turquoise waters and white sand beaches, but also something more: magic. Siquijor, where magic is in the air, but Wi-Fi in the abyss. In trying to be conscious about keeping up with my work and exercise routine, I chose to stay at Monkey Business Hostel, a cool hostel with jungly vibes located in San Juan. I opted for a private room. I desperately needed my space. And it had a calm, rustic vibe that felt perfect for a week-long reset. It also had a big, open-air restaurant where I figured I could work when I needed to. And it was just a 5-minute walk from the gym. Honestly, it felt like a great setup. But given that I spent the last several days in work mode, it is time to honor the adventurous side of me and explore the island.
It's 6 a.m. and I'm on Siquijor. I was going to try to catch sunrise at the beach, but obviously the sun has risen. I'm a little bit late, but I'm still earlier than everyone else because no one likes to wake up this early. This is gonna be my guy.
I rented this cute pink scooter with no set plan, just me, the road, and whatever came next. I stopped at the island's ancient balete tree. It's over 400 years old, and it's said to be the home of supernatural spirits like the tikbalang. It's a half-horse, half-human creature that's said to guard sacred places. Then, I went off on a mission. I was trying to find Secret Beach. I made a few random friends along the way who were also searching for it, and we rode together through jungle roads, dodging potholes, and bouncing over rocky paths to find a quiet, secluded beach. Another day, I spent time at the Kambugahai and Lugnasan Falls, two of the island's most stunning spots. At Kambugahai, the water was this unreal turquoise color, cascading down through the jungle vines and layered pools. Lugnasan Falls was quieter. Tucked deeper in the trees with a calm pool, they had fewer people around. I spent the day swimming, jumping off rocks, swinging into the water, and just soaking it all in. When it came time to leaving room for adventure, Siquijor nailed it. But even after a weekend of exploring, I still wanted to tap into the island's deeper roots. One of my goals of this journey was to experience the real culture of the places I visited, beyond the beaches and the waterfalls. One afternoon, I set off to find a local healer, a mananabal. After winding through mountain roads, I found Wakina, whose home was tucked in the hills. I spent time with her while she read my energy, whispered prayers, and used herbal remedies passed through generations. It was a small but powerful reminder that culture isn't something you see, it's something you feel if you slow down enough to find it. Throughout the week, I found my routine. I would start my mornings by walking to the open-air gym. I like starting early because there's fewer people and cooler weather since the Philippines is insanely hot. Seriously, just look at me. I'm sweating. And honestly, it just makes my day feel more productive from the get-go.
Monday morning workout complete. It's not even 7:30 a.m. and I'm getting my day off to a good start. A little workout, a little adventure, and then work in the evening.
That week, I tried to find a little balance: work, fitness, and a little bit of exploration. One day, instead of exploring, I decided to try something new: freediving. I took an intro course at a local dive center where we practiced breathwork and technique in the pool before we headed out into the open water. Turns out I can hold my breath on land for 2 minutes, but when it comes to diving in the deep, maybe 30 seconds. I totally fell apart, but it was still worth it. After checking off my learn something new goal, I headed to a restaurant that looked like a perfect work spot. Boho decor, lots of seating, this total cozy vibe. But, of course, the Wi-Fi went out. So much for my productive afternoon. Another day, I tried working at the hostel restaurant in the evening, but they had a live band playing. When you're trying to work with Bob Marley playing in the background, it's not ideal. Then I tried a beachside smoothie bar. You know, one of those spots that look perfect on Instagram? Yeah, it turns out working 30 feet from the ocean in a place where you keep running into people that you met before isn't actually productive either. The routine was there. It just took a little bit more effort to stay on track than I expected. My second week of nomading was complete. Siquijor gave me peace and cultural depth, but it also came with some challenges. What I liked was that there was adventure everywhere. Waterfalls, secret beaches, it made it easy to keep life exciting. Learning about local folklore and visiting a healer gave me a real connection to the island's roots. And my location with a flexible schedule helped me balance adventure and getting things done. But Siquijor had its difficulties, like finding a solid work setup. The Wi-Fi was spotty. Even the best cafes could lose connection, making work unpredictable. There was a lack of infrastructure. While Siquijor gave me the adventure and culture that I was looking for, it wasn't exactly built for remote work. It was time to move on and try somewhere new. I woke up before the sun had risen to grab a taxi to the ferry terminal, and I caught a boat to Dumaguete. I popped on my first flight back to Manila, and then boarded an even smaller plane bound for my next destination. An island known for its world-class surf, a buzzing restaurant scene, and a nightlife that can go all night if you let it. Siargao, a digital nomad's dream or distraction. I arrived in General Luna, the bustling hub of Siargao. It seemed like a great place to test out remote life a little bit more seriously. I checked into my Airbnb, a simple guest room hosted by a friendly couple that had a shared kitchen, relaxing hammocks, and a few sweet dogs that would greet me every day. It is tucked just far enough off the main road to feel like a quiet retreat, but still central enough to walk to everything. It was peaceful, most of the time. That is, if you don't mind tiny lizards chilling on your soap and the occasional giant spider sprinting across the wall.
Oh my God, no.
I chose this place because it was close to a well-equipped gym and surrounded by great cafes and co-working spots. After a quick dinner, I settled in for the night, ready to test out the nomad life on one of the Philippines' most iconic islands. Most mornings started with a trip to the gym. Technically, it was in walking distance, but the roads were unfinished, and when it rained, they'd flood, making it impossible to arrive dry. So, I ended up taking a motorbike just to make it there comfortably. I worked out of Escapo Fitness, another open-air gym with cool vibes, plenty of weights, and even Wi-Fi. After working out, I'd head to a cafe or a restaurant for breakfast, and then settle in for a few hours to work. There were so many to choose from, with solid Wi-Fi, chill vibes, and rarely busy. One spot even came with a coworker, a friendly cafe cat who insisted on sitting on my lap, even though I'm allergic. Another favorite was Lamari, a trendy hotel cafe with poolside tables and boho interiors. Siargao even had a proper co-working space called Alter Space. It is tucked just off the main road. So, on paper, the setup was perfect. But, like anywhere, some days just didn't go as planned, especially when the island's weather would suddenly shift. More than once, I got stuck at a cafe all day, caught in a downpour with no way to ride home without soaking my gear. After Manila's structure and Siquijor's unpredictability, Siargao felt like the first place where working remotely really clicked. A spot where routine was easy and the options were endless. With my routine feeling steady, I carved out what time I could to explore what made Siargao so special. One afternoon, I rode through the island down Coconut Road and stopped at the famous view deck, a stretch of road surrounded by endless palm trees. It's one of those spots that made you pause and just take it all in. From there, I continued on with a friend, and we made our way to the Masin River. We grabbed a little boat and we floated through the calm, green water, past palm trees and jungle sounds. It felt peaceful and just a little magical. On other days, I wandered around Cloud 9, Siargao's iconic surf zone. There's a long wooden boardwalk that stretches over the sea, with surf breaks on either side and sunsets that make you stop and stare. And then, I found Isla Corgi, an adorable cafe dedicated to milk tea, cuteness, and a whole crew of fluffy, wiggly corgis. I don't know if this counts as adventure, but my heart was definitely full. These moments were small, but they reminded me of why I chose this lifestyle, to make space for places, new people, and new joy along the way. One day, I decided to try something new. I took a surf lesson in Siargao, and let's just say it wasn't pretty. I eventually made it on the board, but I definitely drank a lot of seawater in the process. After all the action and adventure, I wanted to make space for slower moments and connections, to embrace the culture more deeply. One of the ways I like to do this is through food. One afternoon, I stopped at a roadside stall serving local favorites, like fresh mussels and even balut. It might seem small, but these everyday moments help me feel closer to the place that I'm in. Sharing food with others helps me feel more embedded, like I'm experiencing the place and not just skimming the surface. My lovely Airbnb host introduced me to new friends, welcomed me to dinners, and made me feel like I was part of the community, not just a visitor passing through. But even with all the beauty and connection, living and working remotely has its own bumps in the road. Literally. Siargao's charm comes with a bit less infrastructure. A lot of the roads were unpaved, full of potholes, and some didn't even show up on Google Maps. After heavy rains, they'd flood, which made simple things like walking to the gym a whole mission. Another issue I ran into was with my health. I had 2 allergic reactions, one where I woke up with a swollen lip and eye, and I had to find a doctor just in case it got worse. The clinic was simple, and the nurses were kind, and it reminded me how important it is to understand healthcare access in new places. And a simple everyday reality, laundry. My Airbnb didn't have a machine, so I had to go find a laundromat nearby. Not a big deal, but it's just one more thing to factor into the day-to-day. And while it was easy to meet people, it was also easy to get caught up in the party scene. Siargao has events every night, and if you're not careful, it can totally derail your focus. None of these things were deal breakers, just part of the learning curve. And honestly, figuring out what works and what doesn't is the whole point of testing out the lifestyle. So here's what I learned here. The good. Remote work here was easier. Solid cafes, great internet, and a setup that helped me stay focused. I also met amazing people and had everything I needed to keep up with my routine. But too much fun is a real thing. Between the party scene, patchy infrastructure, and a minor health scare, it reminded me that island life still comes with trade-offs. So that was my first stint in trying the digital nomad life, while being super intentional. And honestly, I loved it. But I also learned a lot. For one, if I'm going to pursue this lifestyle, 1 week per location isn't enough for me to really meet my goals. I felt like I was only scratching the surface of each area, not truly embedding or embracing the culture. And just when I finally found my groove, it's time to move on to the next spot. It was this trip that helped me realize I want to approach things more like a Slowmad, staying longer in each location to build a deeper connection and routine. I also learned you have to be intentional with your accommodations. Hotels are nice for amenities, but they get costly long term. Hostels are social and affordable, but they can be distracting. Having my own place felt right, but I learned that I need to check for things like laundry, reliable Wi-Fi, and easy access to essentials. And the people you surround yourself with, that matters too. It's easy to get swept up in the backpacker lifestyle, but it can pull you away from your goals if you're not mindful. This trip cemented it for me. I knew I wanted to build a life of freedom and adventure, but in a way that was truly sustainable. Follow along as I show you how I set my life in motion, from setting up my finances and health, to packing and selling everything I owned, saying goodbye to San Francisco, and preparing to step into the unknown, ending one chapter to make space for something entirely new.